Welcome to Coming Home, Survive and Thrive in Homeschooling. Seeing down the generations. Before I start, can I please request a favour of you? Please like this podcast, and if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. Thank you. Introduction. Why are you homeschooling? To give your children a good education? Keep going. Why? To remove them from bullying or perhaps a dodgy curriculum? Keep going. What's the next why? To set your children on another path? Good, we're getting somewhere. Keep going. Why are you homeschooling? What path? And why that path? What effect will your children have in the community? What about their children's children? Now we're getting somewhere. Today I'm thinking out loud on what I've been talking about and mulling over for a few weeks. That is, seeing down the generations. Mostly we concentrate on our children so they will be amazing adults. That's good, but short-sighted. It's adequate, but there's so much more. What difference will it make to how and what you teach or opportunities given to your children if you start to grasp that your homeschooling can affect your family down the generations? Does that make you sit up and take things more seriously? We knew we were raising our children to be young adults who knew how to think and not what to think. We assumed they'd do the same thing. Maybe we'd get good, loving, purposeful and strategic input into our grandchildren, but my mind didn't go beyond there. If I could start again, which I can't, this is the one thing I would change as my baseline. Today is a starting point to talk more about this with you. Part 1. What does the system want? What do you see the school system training in its young students? Universities, banks, the system in careers. What is the system showing that it wants of you? The general but obvious answer is do the opposite. It's a general response because you're recognizing it as the reaction to have. But what decisions are there to make to take it to beyond being a general response? Initially, for your children, educate them to think like an employer, not to follow your passion and the market will come to you. You'll be familiar with that rationale. We've been told that for a few decades now, and the majority who believe that have been disappointed with the promise. Instead, study the market and the unspoken market. What is needed, and solve the need. That takes a different way of thinking, but it can be cultivated. How do we do this? Finding others who are doing this is an important aspect of this. Replicating school at home is the trap for homeschooling families to not fall into. The history of modern schooling is designed to produce compliant workers. No more cogs in the wheel. That would be a good goal for homeschooling families. You are shaping your family's future, not the system. Expect pushback from doing this. Go about it quietly but determinedly. Live peacefully and don't go looking for trouble. The system doesn't like too many people doing things differently. Remember what happened if you chose not to get vaxxed. This thinking ripples out to change other areas in our life. We start with how we homeschool, then what? The thinking goes into business and how we do it and what we become. A single career or a multi-skilled career. And consider how this thinking can ripple out into your community and local government. Home education is not just about bookwork and your grades. Part 2, and a bit more of the how-to. Homeschooling is the portal to so much more. A school student is a number. You and your home-educated children are so much more than a number. You can pursue this life in a way that those in the system can't. Your curriculum can change to meet your expanded way of purpose. If your family is known for something it used to be, teach what your family is known for. The family history makes it worthwhile, but consider how much knowledge and wisdom could be lost if it hasn't already. For example, surnames. There are many surnames that indicate what a family did. What did your family do? That passed on from father to son. To hold to something stubbornly is a different thing, but seeing down the generations will help you to determine what needs to be retained and passed on and what new things are to be added. Adding to the wealth of knowledge is as important as adding to financial wealth. I don't think you can have one without the other. Fathers, what are you training your children in? Remember when it was common to see signs of businesses saying, so-and-so and son? What skills haven't you taught or weren't taught yourself because, well, you can buy it now? That's not the point. You can employ a builder or an electrician, but your sons still need to be taught the skills of the ages. To lose traditional skills is to become a civilized barbarian. The same thing applies to your daughters and their daughters' daughters. They need to know what and how to do what their great-grandmothers did. Whether they use it is up to them, but for the sake of the potential survival of their family, they need to know. Pooling resources inside the family are a good idea, as is bringing wealth to the family. Learn how and teach it. If my grandfather, who became wealthy in his business, had seen down the generations and found ways of investing in and teaching his grandchildren and unseen great-grandchildren, we'd be living a different life with less financial pressure and more opportunities for influence in our immediate and wider community than we do now. He was a kind and generous soul, with a testimony of a changed man when he became a Christian. But people didn't think that way in our working and business classes. He wasn't to know, and I'm not shaming him. We're the same, but we get the opportunity to change in this generation if we have a changed understanding and learn how to do it. Generational wealth. How is it done? Because of our independent, modern Western thinking, most families start from scratch with each marriage. A new house, another mortgage, more things bought that could have been shared, etc. I read an example in the latest Above Rubies magazine. A family wrote an article on how they are teaching to build a home for their children, teaching business skills for the family to earn family income, and that they have financially viable skills ongoing. How staying in a locality to combine resources, grow churches, influence local community and systems of politics is a good idea to teach. I'm asking for an interview with this family, so I'm hoping that there will be a follow-up to that thought. Recently, I interviewed Maxim Benjamin Smith in The Preparation. We talked about preparing the young man, but what about the grandfather he could be? We didn't address this, and I'd really like to go back to Maxim and see what part this has in the course and the book written on the preparation. It's an episode I strongly recommend you go back and find. I would love to see a Christian worldview version of the preparation. There's a good idea that needs to be done. A couple of years ago, I interviewed Penelope and Rodney Dawson, and they taught their family business skills from childhood. And I'm thinking of revisiting them too, to hear from them on this perspective at a deeper level than what we originally talked about. I'm going to link those podcasts I've just mentioned in the description box below. Part 3. We are not raising men, but the grandfathers who will be the superstars a few generations hence. See the boy in front of you, but look across time. To be remembered after death is your return on investment. It's usually just a couple of generations we remember our forebears. Then the ancestor is mostly forgotten, except for a few good anecdotes. Think like a noble, not a class-conscious snob, but one who carefully guards, teaches and protects the place they hold. Their children are taught accordingly, and the influential place of nobility is kept to the betterment of the society they live in. The noble who truly knows his place will contribute to a strong society. The noble who is selfish brings about his family's and potentially society's downfall. It doesn't mean you need to be wealthy to be a noble. It is an understanding of the importance of your place and role. Part 4. To see down the generations, you must fulfill your role. It's more than being a biological parent, it's an office. For example, priests are called father. A nun who is a sister can become mother, and the head nun, if that's the right term, is mother superior. It is an office. See your parental role as biological, but more than that. If you can be in the role of the office of father and mother, you are seeing your parenting down the generations, not just the child who is in front of you. I don't know where I'll end up with this line of thought, but I'm willing to pursue it and let the experience of others help shape a way of thinking largely unknown to the working or business class who make up the bulk of our society. Has it ever occurred to you that this information is supposed to be kept from us and designed to keep us where we are? I'm beyond wondering that now.